Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fishhead Creations podcast, where I pull out one of my interesting knitting projects all the time and talk you through the details. It's been a while. I'm sorry, I didn't plan to take 2 weeks off, but things. I don't even remember what happened, but last week I really planned to take off because I knew I wouldn't have time to record, but the week before I don't really know what happened. I can't remember. I must have been just busy and tired after work or so. Whatever. Because what did happen over this last few weeks is I finished another all-over colourwork cardigan, and I can finally talk to you about it. Because I finished this. I have no idea how much of it you can see. But yeah, this is Medalje, so medal, which is a cardigan from the Kofteboeken from the first edition. I cannot for the life of me remember the names of the designers because they are very long Norwegian names and I just cannot remember. It's Kofteboeken. It's everywhere on the internet because the third book just came out, but this one is from the first book. As I said, it's called Medalje. I will put the link to the pattern in the description box as always, and I will put the names of the designers in there because they are brilliant. So the whole story of these books, which I probably have talked about when I shared my Otwars Fineste Kofte last year, they take traditional colourwork cardigans, kofte, from Norway and turn them into modernized patterns. So this one, Medalje, I have no idea what it's based on, but it's great. The sample is in just natural grey and white. I went with black and bright purple, which in this light probably even looks purple. It's a pretty hard to photograph color. It drives my phone camera nuts because in the middle it always comes up as pink and the outside is blue. There's no gradient in this, it's just one color. I have no idea what's happening there, but yeah, I love it. I knit this in Sandnes Tove, which is one of the 2-ply woolen spun sport weight yarns that are so popular in Norway, and it's just a perfect yarn weight. I knit this on my favorite needle size. I'm sorry, I haven't worn it yet, but it's completely covered in cat hair. I knit it on my favorite needle size, which is the 3mm. I love it. As you can see, it's a basic raglan shaped cardigan. It's knit bottom up, and yes, I modified it a lot. So you're supposed to knit the button band afterwards and knit it up and then sew it on, which I didn't do. I picked up the button band and knit it sideways. I don't know if I'm showing you anything you want to see. Then what else did I modify? So yeah, I did the button band as I always do. I did it afterwards, just in 1x1 rip. I think it was supposed to be 1x1 rip, but vertically, and I just figured I wouldn't like that look too much, and I didn't trust the stability in sewing it on. I knitted quite a bit shorter than the pattern called for because I wanted a slightly cropped version. It has no waist shaping, and for once I didn't bother doing any waist shaping, which I barely ever do. I usually add waist shaping to whatever I knit, but this is so cleverly done that the pattern actually is a full repeat around, so you start in a way that gives you a full repeat around. And I just didn't want to interrupt it at the side, so I decided I'll just zero ease at the top, which is a tiny bit of ease at the waist, and then just slightly crop it so it can be worn over dresses. And I think it worked out quite well. I think it's even long enough to wear it over jeans, but I haven't tried yet. So we shall see how much wear this gets, but if it's only a special occasion cardigan, I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, bottom up, sleeves first. No, body first, sleeves second, and then then you join in the round. You just do regular decreases at the top as you do, and then the last bit is knit flat, and you continue the raglan decreases around. Okay. So you raise the neck slightly, and at the same time you bind off some stitches at the front. And I think by this point I was just ignoring the pattern and didn't read it properly, so my neck is slightly lower in the front than it is in the pattern because I bound off more stitches, which I actually quite like. In the pattern it has a very high neck in the front as well, and I'm quite happy with how the neck turned out. It's flippity floppitying slightly when it's just like this, but when worn it really sits nicely. And the pattern originally has a folded neckline, so you knit twice the length, fold it over and sew it down, which I also didn't do, mainly because I did the button band separately and just it wouldn't have worked out the same way. And also I'm not too keen on the look of folded necklines. I think it usually doesn't really fit a garment when it's a thicker neckline and then a single layer. In an all-over color work, which is basically a double layer all the way, it maybe would have looked fine, but I didn't want to bother doing it with a modified neckline. So yeah, it's just a simple 1x1 rib neckline, 1x1 ribbing for all the edges. Very basic. So the tale of woe with this one is the yarn. So the black yarn is still what I'm using, what a friend brought me home from the factory sale in Norway, where she just got a ridiculous amount for next to nothing in money. Yeah, I think it was 28 balls of this yarn for 20 euros. They usually are 4 euros a ball. Do the math yourself. It's ridiculously cheap with the way she got it from the factory sale. So I'm still using up that black. And the purple I got myself when I was in Oslo, and it was on sale for €1.50 a ball, roughly converted, because it's a discontinued color. And of course I only got 3 balls because I thought, well, I did Ottvar's Penistekofte, which used 2.5 balls of the contrast color, and I had quite a lot left over and I wanted to do something similar to that, so 3 balls should be enough. Well, no. I ran out halfway through the yoke. Because this pattern this chart, this colorwork pattern, uses a lot more of a contrast color than the other one did, so I ran out. And then my odyssey began because I had to find a place that still carried this color of yarn. I found one in Berlin, so even only national shipping, but still it was 1 ball of yarn for 4 euros and 5 euros shipping. So of course I had to order something else, and as you do, I ordered sock yarn. On the other hand, I have finished 8 pairs of socks since Christmas, and I have 2 more on the needles. So I do go through my sock yarn quite quickly, so I'm fine with that. So sock yarn is stash I'm okay with. And it's still quite a bit of the black yarn out of my stash. Of course I now have almost a full ball of the purple yarn left over. But then I also have some more of the black, so there might be some accessories in my future in these colors. Maybe a matching hat? What do you think? Matching hat? At least all over colorwork hat in these colors? Match it? And then maybe a cow? All the black and purple? We shall see. We shall see. I'm sure I will find some use for it. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. Also, buttons. Let's talk buttons, because isn't it annoying to find really good buttons for every project? Yeah, I just ordered a 200 pack of these basic black buttons. I will put those on everything now. On everything. What else? The cardigan is, of course, sticked. Here's my stick edge. I didn't do any reinforcement or anything. I just tacked it down. I just cut it open, folded it over, tacked it down every few stitches. Just a very rough whip stitch. I know it's more than enough on this yarn. It's just such a sticky, fuzzy, woolly yarn. It will not go anywhere. And then also, because buttons, And because I had this 200 pack of buttons, which came in 3 sizes, I used the size I actually want to use, which matches my buttonholes on the outside, and then on the inside I sewed a tiny button on the back of it. So it's just, it doesn't pull on the fabric as much because it's pulling on the other button. It's sturdier and it will not stretch out as much. I haven't tried this before for other cardigans, but I think it works quite well, and I've seen it on coats, so there must be some science behind it. And I have a ton of those tiny buttons, so why not? It does feel a lot sturdier, so I'm hoping it will actually be much better and not stretch out as much as other button bands do. I haven't worn this, I haven't even tried it on since I steeked it. I tried it on before I steeked it and before I washed it. So I'm really quite curious to see how it actually fits me. I will do that when I have a photographer. So I will share pictures of this at some point. Not too soon because I feel like it has taken over my Instagram feed, but I will share pictures of it. So yeah, here it is in short once again. I'm really happy with it. And I don't think there's too much more to say about it. It's really... I didn't memorize the chart, but it became quite easy to know where I was after a short amount of time. So yeah, it was a relaxing, easy knit. It's a very straightforward construction. It's just a basic bottom-up raglan with no shaping. So there's not too much to say about it. Also, no pattern ran this time because it was from Koftebukken and they write patterns exactly in the style I like patterns to be written. Very concise. Only basic information. If you hear any noise in the background, Loki has decided he needs to use his litter box. Of course he does when I'm recording. So yeah, very concise pattern writing, not just basic information you need and then repeat. Or do this while doing that, and then just one sentence of doing whatever is required. I really like patterns written this way, and I have since cast on another cardigan, which it's a yoke, it's steeked, so similar, even less shaping instructions because they are in the chart. And just miles of text. It's not top down because it's quite complicated when I'm not changing it and not turning it around. Who am I even? But I had managed to cast on and knit 3 rounds and do the next short rows. And I was on page 5 or 6 of the pattern, I think on page 6. 6 pages until I get to start knitting from the chart. And then charts. And then 5 more pages of text? Yeah, I do like Koftebukken style. I prefer patterns written this way, and I was really happy to follow it. I just copied the chart from the book and carried it around with me. So my nice, pristine book, expensive book, is safe in the cupboard. And I just had a copy of the chart stuffed into my project bag, because most of the time it's just knit the sleeve while increasing a pattern, knit the body while not doing anything except knitting from the chart. So all I needed for the most part was my chart, and then for the raglan it's just decrease every other round. Not something I need a chart for, so yeah, I was pretty happy with it. And I'm not sure if there's a mistake or if I misread something when I was modifying it, but I was off to 2 stitches. Something didn't work out in the mouth, but because it was only 2 stitches, I just started the chart 1 stitch in, and then I was fine. So I didn't find any corrections to that point, and as I said, it was at a point where I had heavily modified it because I didn't want to knit up and sew down the button band. So it might just have been me misreading it, and it really wasn't a big deal, so it's okay. And still, it's an all-over colourwork garment. 3 pages of patterns. 3. So you can do it, people. You can do it. You don't need to be too wordy. I think that's it for this week. I should get back to knitting on that complicated pattern if I want to show it anytime soon. I'm not sure how I will go forward with this podcast because, as I've alluded to, I'm out of content. So I will probably continue to film every other week, which gives me a bit more time to actually get some knitting done and have something to show you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, you can find links to my, you can find references to my Instagram and my designs on Ravelry and everything else, the pattern, my project page, in the description box below the video. And if you would like to get in touch anywhere of those places, on Instagram as Caledoniana, on Ravelry as Obsty, and that's a Fishhead Creations Ravelry group, and that's my designs on Ravelry. So if you would like to get in touch in any of those places, please feel free. I would love to hear from you. I would love to get talking about patterns and color work and garments and everything. So thank you so much for watching, and I will probably, hopefully, see you in 2 weeks. Bye!